So now let us start the live session. So in this live session, we are going to see about functions. So in this live session, we are going to master functions. So a function is a named block of code that will perform a specific task. For example, think of it like a recipe that you define it once and you can use it as many times you want without rewriting the steps. The same way in C programming, every program starts from the special function called the main. So as we can know that first we will include the header file. So within it we will have a main function. So within this main function every program will start. Same like that we will create our own function and we'll use it for our own reusability of this code. So why we use functions there are 4 reasons. So the first one is reusability. So you can write the code once and you can use whenever you want. So it is write once, use many times, anytime you want. So it is one part, that is reusability. The next one is readability. If you define a function and give it a specific name, the code will look clean and also you can know what this code does and why it is used for the specific part. So that time your code becomes easier to read. So after that, there is a third one, that is debugging. So debugging is nothing but the part that when you have any errors, you have to find it by running the code line by line. So when you run the code, you will trace it and where the error is showing. So if you use functions, it is easier to find bugs and errors. So finally, modularity. So for example, you are writing a program for a small program that means a small project. That time you don't need to use functions, you can simply write, for example, if you write a program for finding factorial, you can simply write this. But you are building a project, that time it will be a larger part. So that time you will be write the code structure by structure, and that time it will be like module by module part of program. So that time you can easily build the entire program without confusing where the errors are there. So for the large programs or projects, so are built by combining the functions. So these are the four main parts that we will be using functions there. So now first let us look the structure of this function. So how it is being worked, and it is nothing but the syntax. So for the syntax of the program, syntax of it is nothing but first return type, so after the return type we have to give the function name. Return type, function name, within it we have to give parameters. For giving the parameters we have to give parameter type, the data type of this parameter, after it parameter. So we can give multiple parameters, so parameter 1 type and parameter 1 and parameter 2 type and parameter 2. So like this you can give multiple parameters inside a function, and the same number of parameters you have to give when calling the same function, and the data type has to be same and the values has to be the same data type of which parameter data type we have given. So after that curly braces, so within this curly braces this will be the function body. So this is nothing but the block of code that has to be executed. So whenever the function is being called, this block of code will be executed. So after that return value. So when you want to return some value to the main function, that time you will use return value and return type and return value. If you don't want, instead of return value you will use void. So void is also a data type that you will not return anything. So that time you don't need this return. You can simply remove this. So first see here that when you are using parameter type without void, that means a return type, you have to return some value or else it will throw an error. So after that we have function name, that must mean something. If you are writing any code, there is a unique identifier following with the C naming rules. For example, you can give letters and digits and underscore. You cannot start with digits for the function name. You cannot give like one add like that, you can't give, it will throw error. So after that within this parameter we will give the value that this function can be used through it and return the output. After that this curly braces, it will be the starting and this is the body, it holds the all code in between belongs to the function. After that return value, it sends a result back to the caller and it must be matched the same return type. So if it is void data type, we will be remove this returning value. So first let us see some example for it. So let us remove all of this code. So here first I'll include the main function, main file. For that first header tag standard io.h. After that main function, So main function is nothing but the starting point of every program. So after that return 0. So in this, first I will create one function. So void. So I don't want to return anything. So I want to say hello. Within it, we can also do one more thing, that is, we don't need to give any parameters. Parameters is also optional. So I print hello world. So this is one function. So now how can we call this is, we can just call using this function name and the parenthesis. Say hello. So now the compiler will come to this main function and it will come to this next line. So this is called caller function and this is called function. So it is calling this function and this will execute this function. So when it comes to here, it will enter this block of code and it will print hello. So now let us run it. So hello world. So I can just copy it. That means I can call multiple times. Like this I can call multiple times and it will still execute as many times I am calling it. So this is the best part, that is reusability. So after that, if you have any bugs, debugging will be look easier, and one more thing, that our code will look neatly. Instead of a messy program, it will look so cool. So this is called the function call, and what we are doing, we are simply calling it again instead of duplicating the same code. We are just calling the code. So here first we are including IO library, so we can use printf and scanf. So after that we define a function, and after that within the main function we are calling the function and we are returning the 0. So this return 0 will return the OS that this program is entered successfully. If it is not returning 0, it will throw, that means the compiler will know that there is a error there. So if I give this void here, as you can see here, if I give the create a function after the main function, it will throw some errors. See, so for that, what you have to do, you have to first declare it before it. So now, so that time you have to call it here in the bottom way. First you declare it and after that you have to initialize it here. So every function have to be declared before the main function. So if it is not, it will not work perfectly, it will throw errors. If I remove this, it will throw some error. But if I write all the functions before the main function, the main function will ask this line and it will check this line and it will check before it only. It will not check before it only. It will not check after it, because here return 0, the program will be ended. So that time it will not check after the main function anything. So if you want to write it, first you have to declare it here. So if I want to write this code after here, so if I want to write this code after the main function like this, that time I simply declare it like this without giving any value, just declare it with the parameters and the value perfectly again. So let us call it. So it's still running. See here, it is still working. So whenever you want to write a function, make sure you have written before the main function, or else if you want to write after the main function, that time you just need to declare it. So there are 4 types of, there is no return type and no parameters. So let us see here. So it have no return type, that is there is no return statement here and no parameters there. This is one type. So we will see all 4 types. So first, no return and no parameters. So let us see the second one. I am %d years old, and after that I will give age. So as you can see, the values I have given as the parameters can be used within the same function. Other functions within the main function cannot be called here. So we will print, I will give the age as 18. So now let us run it. So I am 18 years old here. So first we will give the value here. So now the age will be 18. So it will print I am, and the value that we are given is 18. So 18 will be given to this function and it will be print. So this is the second type. In this, no return type but with parameters. So after that we can do like this also. For example, I'll give void. So after this void, for example, greet. So I want to ask for the name. So for the asking of name is, it should be character array. So we can use like this. We can call his name and print it. I am using pointer here. So now greet. So within it, I'll say the name as Thomas and let's run it. So it says hello Thomas. We didn't give next line here. Now run it. So see here, in this function we are getting the string and being printed. The value we are given is getting used by this function. So only this value we are giving inside as a parameter can be used by the function, or else you have to create the value or get the value by using any scanf by there, or else you have to use some global variables to declare it. So let us see the third type. So the third type is with the return type and with parameters. So in this we have to return something. So I will using some integer data type. So int. So I want to do addition. So add. Within this we have already seen a data structure. That is, we have to first declare the data type of the variable and the data type. So I want to add two values. So int a and integer b. So I am returning the sum of a and b. So let us try to run it. So for printing it, print up. So %d. After that we have to call the function add 12 and 34. So why calling this function within this printing statement is, we have to do something. So if you are returning something, there are two things. You can directly call this, or you can store it. After that you can print it. So first, normally printed, it says 46, or else declare on another variable. Within it you have to call the function to store the value that is being written. So if they are returning some value here and I didn't store it, it will not store anywhere. So that's how we have to store it in somewhere. With return and with no parameters. So here we'll return some string, that is character array. So after that, so for example I'll use int. So within this int I'll give some boolean values. For example, we can print some values or else we can give some numbers like random numbers. So I'll give dice. So within it I will not give any value and return some random value. For example, like this. Within 1 to 6 I'll give some number 6. So in here I am returning some value, but I didn't give any parameters. So these are the 4 data types. So now let us see function prototypes. So in C you must declare a function that before your definition after the main function. That means here you have declared every function before the main function. So this is the main prototype we have to use. If you are using after it, first you have to declare it. For example, if I remove all of these functions and after that I'll remove all of this and paste it here. So now it will still show some error. So for that, void say hello. After that, just declare it. Same like print. So for that we are declaring nothing. So void. So print. After print we will give some value integer age and close it. So as you can see, these two will not showing error, but these two is showing error because here we have declared it, but here we didn't declared it and directly writing after the main function. So this is the main prototype that has been followed by the C programming. So we have to use it. So after that we'll see scope and lifetime variables. So let me remove all of this code. So the scope is nothing but the scope refers to where in a program variable can be accessed. So in C there are two main types, that is local variable, after that global variables. So these two are the variables that has been used by the C programming. So first we will see what is local variables. So for example, let me create one function like my function. I'll create one function like this. So within this function, I'll declare one variable. For example, in x value is 10. So this is a variable, and as you can see, this variable is created within this function. It can be used within this only one function. So if I try to call, for example, I'll create this main function. Before that, I'll include the header tag. So as include standard input output dot h. So now if I try to write the main function here, so int main, so after that return 0. So I try to change the value of x here, so I'll change x value as 20, but if you can see this x still shows error because it is not being initialized within this variable. So it is a local variable. If you declare any variables or any values inside a function, that is called as a local variable. So this variable will exist only within this function. This is the scope of the local variables. So yes, x will does not here. When it reaches this outer line, x can be accessed from this line. So within this main function, you can access this x value. So let us see global variables. So global variables in the sense we will declare outside all of this value. For example, after the header file, I will declare one variable int a is 20. So this is a global variable I can access within any functions. So for example, if I change a value as 10, it will not throw any error because it is a global variable. When I declare any variable or any value without outside the function, without any function, that means it is a global variable. It can access through any values. Even if I do use within any function, I can access within any functions. So this is how it is being used. So let us see the basic recursion. So recursion is nothing but a function that is calling itself. So recursion means recursion is a function call that is call itself, and it's one of a powerful technique that is used to solve programs, and it can be break down into smaller versions of the same problem. So let us see here. So for example, as we know, for I'll write the normal syntax of the program, standard input output dot h. So here int main, after that return 0. So let me write a program for find the factorial. So for that I'll declare fact to 0. So I have to get the input from the user. So I'll multiply, so I'll change the 0 to 1. So after getting into the next line, first I'll scan, it is n, so int n. So I get n from the user, so I'll enter the number. So after getting it, the factorial is nothing but 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 until 1. 1 to n we have to multiply it. So let me open the notepad. So here 5 factorial is nothing but 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 and multiplied by 1. So this is a function. So this is the formula for it. So here I can write it is from 1 to n multiplication. So I'll use a for loop. So I value starts from 1 and I less than or equals n and I plus plus, and factorial value will be multiplied by the value of I. So after that I have to print it. So this is the basic factorial of this value. So let us run and check with the value of 5. So I give 5. By using recursion, we can simply write this program in a 3 to 4 line. So as you can see here, first it is 5 and it is 4 and it is 3, 2, 1. So 5 multiplied by 4, 4 multiplied by 3. So as you can see, let me take 5 as a n. So n factorial is nothing but this is n and it is multiplied by n minus 1, that is 4. So after that plus this value is 4. So 4 multiplied by n minus 1, like that it will goes on. It is nothing but n, I can say n multiplied by n minus 1 and it is multiplied by n minus 2, and after that it is multiplied by n minus 3, like that it will goes on. So here as you can see, this is 5 factorial, 4 factorial and 3 factorial multiplication. So let me create a function to find the factorial. So we will return integer and it is factorial. So here I will give one input, that is n. So I will name this, I will remove this and remove this. So this is the function. So in this function, so when it reaches 0, it will have to stop. So if n is 0 or n becomes 1, that time I can return 1, because 0 factorial is also 1, 1 factorial is also 1. So that time I am returning 1. So if not, that time I will return n multiplied by factorial of, that is factorial of n minus 1. So I can say 4 in this time 5 is multiplied by 4 factorial. So in the next iteration 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 factorial. After that 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 factorial. So after that 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 and it is 1 factorial. So as you can see, when it reaches 1, it will return the value of 1. So 1 multiplied by 2 is 2 and it is 2 multiplied by 3 is 6 and 6 multiplied by 4 is 24 and after that 120. So if I just call it, so as we can see, I will print a, see here I am printing the factorial of n. So if I call this number function and run it, so the factorial of 5 is 120. The same value, but using recursion, it is just written in a 3 line. But in the factorial, we are iterating through a loop, but same here, we are just using the formula here. So first, so this is how it is being worked by the recursion. So recursion is nothing but the function is calling itself. It will come here. So first, let me take example. So let me take 5 as the example. I will give 5 here and it is being called 5 as the value. So now it will come and check it is equals to 0 or 1. So 5 is not equal to 0 and 5 is not equal to 1, it is false. So it will come here and so current value of n is 5 and this being called factorial of 5 is multiplied by, so factorial of n minus 1, there is 5 minus 1, that is nothing but factorial of 4. So after that the factorial of 4 is nothing but it will come here and it will give the value of 4 here. So 4 is not equal to 0 and as well as 1. So the factorial of 4 is nothing but 4 multiplied by factorial of 3. So it will become 4 and it is multiplied by factorial of 3. So it will come here and the value is 3 So 3 is not equal 0 and not equals 1. So it will come here. 3 multiplied by factorial of 2. So 3 multiplied by factorial of 2. So now it will check 2. 2 not equal 0 and 2 is not equals 1. So it will come here. It will return 2 multiplied by factorial of 1. 2 multiplied by factorial of 1. So the factorial of 1 is will return 1. So it will become 1. So it will multiply it from the back side, that is 2, 6, after that 24, after 24 it is 120. Like that it will calculate and finally it will return the value. Okay, so as you can see here, it will be 5 and factorial of 4. So for the factorial of 4, it will be like a tree-like structure, like this. So here we have to calculate the factorial of 4 is 4 and it is multiplied by factorial of 3. So now we have to come here and after that, so let me remove this line. Like this it will be here. So after getting to the next line, we will be having another 2 lines. In here 3 multiplied by factorial of 2. So after that, the factorial of 2 is, it is factorial of 2 and after that it is calculating the factorial of 3 and this is factorial of 4. So after that factorial of 2 is 2 multiplied by factorial of 1. So after that it will come here and the factorial of 1 will return the value of, so it will return the value of 1. So now the factorial of 1 will have the value of 1. So it will remove and this will remove, the factorial of 1 will become 1. So 2 multiplied by 1 will return the value of 2. 2 to the factorial of 2. So now it is being cut down. So this value will become 2. So this value is currently 2. So the factorial of 3 will become, store the value of 6. So it will have the value of 6 and 6 multiplied by 4 will return the value of 24. So it will return 24 multiplied by 5. So now it will multiply the value, that is 120, and after that it will return to this value. So finally it will print the value, that is 120. So this is how recursion is being used. So for example, let me create one function. So see here I am calling the same function within the same function, that is called recursion. So here I'll create one more function. So here say hello. So within it I'll print one statement. After that if I say hello again, see here it will print call, print call, print call. It will do infinite times because there is no condition we have given. So if I run this code, so here we are calling the function that is being removed. So now let us remove this and we have to call it say hello. So if I run this, it will go infinite times. It still goes on. So let us stop this. So as you can see here, it is running infinite times. So For recursion, we have to give condition to stop the recursion programs. So for that, here as you can see that we have calling it, but we have to give some parameters or conditions for that. So I'll give one value. So int n. So I'll give 10 here to count the condition. So if my n is greater than 0, that time I will call this. So after every time I will subtract it by 1. So that time 10, after that it is printing 10 minus 1 9. After that it will print, then 9 minus 1 will become 8. See here, first this is the main function. After coming here it will call the value. So the current value of say hello is 10. So now 10 will be given as the parameter of here. So now it will print hello world. After that it will check, let me give curly braces here. After that end it. So here it will check 10 is greater than 0. So it is true. That time it will again call this function. So it will call 9. So that time 9 it will print hello world the second time. After that 9 greater than 0. So in this 9 greater than 0, it is true. It will again call this function. It will come here. It will become 8 because n minus 1, 9 minus 1 is 8. So hello world is being printed. So again it will check the current 10 is 8, 8 greater than 0. So it is true. After that it will call the function. So now 8 minus 1 is 7. So again it will be printed. Like that it will goes until 1. So now it will print it. After that it will check 1 greater than 0. It is 1 greater than 0, that is true. After that it will print it. Now it will check 0 greater than 0, because it will call after printing 1, it will call 1 greater than 0, the current value of n will become 0. After printing it, 0 greater than 0 is become false. So that time it will stop there itself and it will print the hello world. So see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 times it's being printed because it will come from 0 to 10. So if I change this value of n to 9, so we can simply print with percentage %d to check how many times it is being running. So I'll give one more count. So initially I will give the count as 0. So in count. So I have to give the count here. So every time I'll add it, I'll increase the count by 1. So this is nothing but count. I want to print the number. So I'm using count here. So first it will be 0. When it comes here, this count is 0. So it will increment it by 1 for the first time and print 1 hello world. So now let us run it. See here it starts from 1 and end at 10. So 10 times it's being running. So and it is printing hello world here. As you can see here, this is the count I am using to count how many times it's being running. And I can give one more condition that if count is not equals to the value of 10. So that time I don't need to give this n value. So I'll just remove this. I'll start giving the count as 0. So initially it will become 1. So after that, until it becomes 10, it will call it. So now if I run it, see here the same program, that when it reaches 10 times the iteration, that time I want to stop it. So I have given count as 0 and it will incremented by 1, and the first time it is printing, when it reaches 10, it will stop the count. So that is what the condition I have been given. So this is the basic recursion. That's how it call the functions itself by its own. So this is the basic functions of recursion. There are a lot of programs are there. We can use reverse nesting, factorial, Fibonacci series, and when you go on to DSA deeply, we will be only seeing recursion for solving problems. And there is one more thing that is called backtracking. When we stuck there, we will get on to other things and we will see it. That is what backtracking there. So now let us see how to find Fibonacci value of the nth digit. So first we will see the Fibonacci value. So it will start from 0 and 1. These are the two constant digits of the Fibonacci series. The third digit is the sum of previous two digits. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and for the next digit is the previous two digits, that's 1 and 1, it will become 2. For the next digit, it is the sum of other two digits, that is 1 and 2 is 3. Now the next digit is the sum of previous two, that is 3 plus 2, that will become 5. The sum of 5 plus 3 will become 8. So after that, 8 plus 5 is 13. Like that it will go on. So next will be 21. So this is how the Fibonacci series goes on. This is for the first digit, that is if n is equals 1, I have to print this. This is the first digit. And n value is 2, I will print this. It is 3, I will print this. And if it is 4, I will print this. So this is how the Fibonacci series is work. So we can use this to print it using the recursion as well. So for that we have to find a formula. For factorial, we have to find the formula of it. The factorial is nothing but n multiplied by n minus 1. So next one is Fibonacci series. In the recursion, as you can see there, that is, it is adding two numbers, that is, for example, let me take this number. This is n. So n minus 1 plus n minus 2. Okay. So this is the number, and the previous two numbers are n minus 1 plus n minus 2. So this is how we are going to print. So first we will see iterative version, after that recursive version. So iteration is nothing but iterating through every loop, and after that we will see the recursion. So I will directly print. I don't want to return anything for the iterative version. So I will remove this code. So why? So within that Fibonacci iterative. So within this we are getting the n value. So int, first I'll declare two variables. For the first one I'm naming it as a, and second one I'm naming it as b. So a is 0 and b is 1. So I will have one temporary variable to swap it. So I'm using declaring here itself. So after that I'll just print Fibonacci series iterative. So iterative means we are using for loop here. So recursion means we will call the functions and returning it using the same function again and again. So after printing it, I'll go through the for loop. So for I is equals to 0 and I is less than n and I plus plus. So here we can just use temporary variable equals to a plus b, and a value is b and b value is temporary variable. So if I print it, so after printing the value, I'll just move on to the next one. That is next line. So in here, as you can see, we are using temporary variable to store the previous values and printing it. Here, what you have to do that if my n is greater than 1, okay, that time greater than or equals to 1, we have to print the first digit. So we'll print this one. If not, we have to check for the second digits, that is the second value. We have to print b here, so and a here. So it's a and it is b. So all other that we have to iterate the loop for the second one because it is completely for 0 and 1. So I iterate through the 2 to check for the next digits and I'll add it, and finally I'll print the percentage d digit is, so after that percentage d. So here is n and the value temp. So this is the iterative version of it. So let us try to call this. So for calling it Fibonacci iterative of, let us check for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So sixth digit and run it. So the sixth digit is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sixth digit is 5. So we got the nth digit of the Fibonacci series by using the factorial Fibonacci using the iterative. If n is greater than or equals 1, that means we'll print this value. So this is for iteration, but here we have to check equals because for loop we will be printing it. For the series we will be using greater than or equals, but for the same number we will be using these two number. So there is no need for it. So we'll just iterate through it and print it. So for printing the series, you just need to print within the for loop itself. For example, let's change it back to greater than or equals, and you can just change to, so the n, that is percentage d digits of or this value. So we can just copy here and paste it and close it. So this will move back to the next line. We can simply using the n digits. So this n digits, we just have to print the value of the temp. So here printf. So we are printing the value of b, or we can use temp, that is the current value that is storing. So in this, as you can see, this will have the series. So if I give 5, the first 5 digits will be printed. So let us check that. So run it. The 6 digits, or it didn't even get the value. So we are directly given the value. So that's why it is printing. So it's being printed this value because this value is here. So let us give it above it and print it. So the 6 digits are 0, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 5. Because previously I have given this printing statement after these two. So that's why it's being printed in the next line. So now the first 6 digit is being printed. So but for the recursive, we don't need these much of line. You can simply use 3 to 4 lines. If it is a first digit, I'll print 1. If it is second digit, that means if my n value is 1, I can return this value. And if my n value is 2, I can return 1 value. So or else I can return this previous value n minus 1 with the before previous value, that is n minus 2. So let us write this version for it. So for that, so int, we have to return the value. So I'll just name fib of integer n. So we are going to use it recursive version. So for this condition, if my n is 1, I'll return 0. If my n is 1, I have to return 0. If my n is 2, I have to return 1. Or else, I have to return the previous value, that is n minus 1 plus Fibonacci of n minus 2. So the n minus 1 is this value. If my n is this, n minus 1 is previous value, n minus 2 is a previous value before the previous value. So these two will be added. So if my current value is this, my n minus 1 value is 1 and n minus 2 is another one. If my n value is this 8, so n minus 1 will become 5, n minus 2 will become this 3. So this is how it is calculating that the previous sum of previous two values. So it will just return single value. So we have to use for loop for that. So I am giving, so for I want to print first starts from 1, I less than, I want to print 10 digits. Fibonacci of, I want to give the I. So percentage D, after that I. So we are just calling, we are not printing. So just give the value of I. So here we have to print it. So printf, within it we have to give percentage D, after that a comma. So now it will print the returning value of the first 10 digits. So it is 0, it starts from 0, we have to give some space. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21 and 34. These are the first 10 digits. Using this Fibonacci series, we can just print the nth digit. So for printing that series, we have to use a for loop, and I'll start from 1 and I'll print up to the certain range. Currently I am using the value of 10. So the first 10 digits will be printed here. So let us move on to some more problems using functions. So here let us see some sample problems. First, a normal problem, that is with a beginner friendly. We will start from printing normal welcome statement. After that we will move on to some more problem. As include standard input output dot-h. So my main function, after that return 0. So this is the basic structure. So now I want to print welcome here. I will create a void function. I don't want to return anything. So void, I want to print welcome. If I call this function, I want to print a welcome statement. Printf, I'll give some line. So after that printf, and simply give welcome to C program. Like this statement I can give here and give some space here. So after that the same equal symbol in the bottom. So now we just need to call this function. So I am calling print welcome. So in this printing statement, this function print welcome function, I have printed 3 statements, and here I am just calling it. So if I run it, this will go here and print these 3 lines. So we have to give next line here. So next line, after that next line. So now run it. So welcome to C programming, and let me remove some spaces. So now it looks perfectly same. So see here, we are printing welcome to programming in the terminal using a print welcome function we have just created. So this is a header file for printing. So after that, this is the name, that is nothing but the identifier. We didn't give any parameters, and this is non-return type void. So after that we are printing 3 statements. So this is the end of this function. After it, this is the main function where the program starts, and this return 0 is used for checking if the program is running perfectly. After that, this is the print welcome function. So in this print welcome function, it is used to call this function. So whenever it is being called, this will be calling. So for example, if I want to run this 10 times, I can use one more variable for that. So I'll give 0 here, and I'll declare one value. That means I'll give some parameters. So after that, if my count is not equals to 10, that time I have to call this function. So again I'll call it print welcome. I am calling it. So next I have to increase this value of it. So I am giving the value of count. So we have to increase every time 1 by 1, or else it will be an infinite loop. So I'll start from 0 means it will incremented by 1 and it will initialize with 1. So 1 to 10 times it will be run. So 10 times this printing statement will run. So let us count it. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So this program is being called 10 times using this recursion. So using recursion, we can simply call this function without using any for loop or anything. We just need to call the same function within the other function, but we have to give some code like that. For example, we have to give some conditions to break the recursion, or else it will be an infinite loop and it will be a disaster from some of terminal, it will crash. So make sure to give conditions here that it's being stopped or not. So now let us write a function for a simple calculator like addition, multiplication and divisions. We will create some more functions for that. Let me remove this. So now I'll create one function and it should return the value of addition. So add a plus b. So this is a function. I want to return the value of sum of two variables that I am giving. So return a and b. Return a plus b means it will add it and after that it will return. So it is addition of two numbers. After that another addition, another operation, that is subtraction. So I am getting again two variables and I am returning a minus b. This time it will return the value of a minus b. So after that multiplication, so int multiply a and b. So now I want to return a multiplied by b. A multiplied by b. After that division. So for division there is one more condition we have to write. As we can see that if I give 0 as the b value, it should be an infinite value, that there is no defined value for that. So if b value is 0, I want to print divide by 0 is not possible. So this is one of the edge cases we have to look for every time we divide. So every time you use divide operation, you have to check for this, if b is equals 0 or not. If not 0, so that time you can divide it. If it is 0, you don't have to print the value of a divided by b. So after that we just have to call all of these functions within the main function. So one more thing, that you can call this function within another function, but if you didn't call this function inside the main function, all of this function will not be work, because it will be starts from the main function, it will end there itself. If I just run it, nothing will happen. See here, nothing is being printed here. It is just doing process finished with the exit code of 0. So this is what this return 0, that is being given to the compiler or the OS to check if my program is working correctly without being any errors. So now let us call it. So I will give two values. My value of a, so I will give 10, and value of b is 3. So one more thing, that there is no need for these variables and these variables to have the same name. These parameters can change. If I call this, for example, if I give x here and y here, x and y. There is no errors if I call this function using this variable of value. So see here I am creating result and adding x and y, but here as you can see it is showing a here, that is parameter int a. So this and this value, there is no need for that to change, it can be different. So I don't need to store that, I just want to print it here. So I'm going to print. So if I add two values, I'll get this, and subtraction, before multiplication I want to print subtraction. So print of, so percentage d for the a and percentage d for b. So after that a equals and percentage d and comma x value. So x value, y value, and subtraction. After subtraction we have to call this division. So this is the basic function that we have created a simple calculator program for all addition to division. Now let us check this. So we didn't give next line here, so let us give that next line. So 10 plus 3 is 13, so we have to give minus for subtraction, divide symbol for division. So 10 plus 3 is 13, 10 minus 3 is 7, 10 multiplied by 3 is 30, 10 divided by 3 is 3 because it is integer division. In float division you will get 3.3 some values, but we are doing integer division because both of them are integer, so that time it will only return the value of integer division. So this is the basic simple calculator program using the functions. So we have seen about that 4 types of functions and the prototype of function, that it should be always above the main function, if not we have to declare it above the main function. So one more thing, that is we'll write one more program for find maximum number of any 3 numbers. So I'll remove this entire code. You can simply remove this. So now I want to find the maximum element out of 3 numbers. So I'll declare the same number, that is the maximum number. So int. So we are going to find the maximum number. Find the maximum number of 3 numbers. So A and B and C. So within these 3 numbers, we are going to find the largest of these 3 numbers. So I'll declare one variable, that int my maximum element as the first element. So now here my maximum element, that is, or else if my B is greater than my maximum element, that is A greater than B, that time my maximum value will become B, or else here C is greater than max, my maximum value will become C. So I initialize with A and if b is greater than max, so b will be the maximum value. If c is greater than max, c will be the greater value. And after finding it, I can return maximum value. If first I initialize with a, and if b is greater than that value, maximum value, b will be greater, and c is greater than maximum value, c will be greater. Or else we can write one more way, that if so I will declare one variable, so I initialize with a. So if b is greater than or equals to a and b is greater than or equals to c, so that time I can say that my maximum value is b. If c is greater than or equals to a and c is greater than or equals to b, my maximum element is c. Or else it would be a. So now let us run it. So we will print, I'll declare three values. My x value, so we will get from the user, so int x, y, z. So I use scanf to get the values. After that, we will print the maximum number is within the 3 number, we have to print it. So let us check here. So will give 12, 34, 78. The maximum number is 78, so let us give in the different order. 12, 78 and 56, 54. So still 78. So 65, 65, 45. So the maximum number is 65. So now we have write a function to check that first I initialize a as the greater value. If b is greater than both a and c, b is greater value. If c is greater than both a and b, it is greater value. If these both of them are failed, this max will be always a. So a will be returned if a is greater value. So we are write a function to check that find the maximum value of 3 numbers. As you can see here, now our code looks so readable, and that is so modularly, because this part is being splitted and this main function is being splitted. So we are using the main function only for calling the functions, not for writing the entire code within it. So we can also use some more numbers functions, like we can check if it is even number or not, like that, or else we can classify even numbers and odd numbers. Like that we can create multiple functions. So we have seen about the factorial of n using the number in the recursion. So now let us see string operations using this functions. So let me remove this. After this code, so now we have a main function. So I want to check the string length using this function. So using this function, we are going to check the length of the string. So int, I am just naming it as length. Within that, we will give the string. So in this string, I will declare one variable, length is 0. So after that, I will use a while loop. So as we know that in the previous session we have seen the last digit, that is null. So my character of I, so I can name it as length, is not equals to null. That time I'll increase the length by 1. So after that I'll return it. So here I have written a function to find the string length without using string length strlen. So I'll use a string here, character. Right? So now let us use two functions, length of string by string length, that is inbuilt function, length of string by length. So here so this is the string length within the header file we have to import it. So I'll import the header file for it. So hash include string.h. So now we are using two length checking methods. One is string length and one is length that we have created. So both returns the same value. So this is an inbuilt function. So using this header file, we have imported. So they have the same code within the string length as well. They will not have any other code. They will still have this value, or they may be using pointers to check the length. They are using this value to call this string length, but we have created our own function to find the length of the string. So now let us create one more thing, that is we are going to reverse a string. We'll create one function to reverse a string. So for reversing, we don't need to get any values. We just need to return the same string. So void. So reverse. I'm using reverse here. So after that, the string, after that, the string that we are going to reverse. So here reversed. So this is the normal string and this is the reverse string, the empty string that has to store it. So my length is, I'll calculate it with my own string length, string calculating method. So I'll remove this code and remove this code. So length is length of string. So after that, I'll use a for loop for I0, I less than n and I plus plus. So n is nothing but length. So length. After that, I plus plus. So now I'll start from the initial index. So that is reversed index of, that is this string will have the first index of this last string. So this first string is nothing but the normal strings last one, that is length minus 1. So for increasing this value, it have to be decreased. So I'll increase by I this value and decrease by I to the normal string. So now every time it increases, the value of the string index will be decreased. So now it is being reversed. After that, we have to add one more string. Don't forget to add the null string, that is reversed. In the last, that is nothing but the length equals to this null value. So then only it will become complete value. So we will declare two values. So character. So one string, I'll give some value. I'll give value of hello world. So after that, I want to store it in the reverse thing. So let us do the same thing and print it. So let us try to give both string as the same string and run. If it is still give the same value. See here, it says world and world because after it is being half of it reversed, after that it will still be there. So we have to create a new string. So character, I'll give reversed, and within it I'll change it reversed. So now if I run it, so it's printing the normal string here. We have to print the reverse string. Just print the reverse string. So it is being reversed. So as you can see here, in this string we are using another string to reverse it and store it. So that is what we are doing here. We are not returning any values. We are using void method and storing in another string and returning it. So now let us do one more thing, that is checking palindrome or not. So for that, so we have to return boolean value. So we can simply use integer. So int is palindrome. So within it, I'll give the string. So after that, I'll create one reversed, that is nothing but the string I am creating, and within this I'm giving the size of this current string. So after that, within it, instead of giving len, we have to give size of the string. So now it will have the same values as the string. So after that, we have already written a code for reversing. So after I am reversing, we have to compare it. So return will compare both string. If both of them are equals, it will return 0, but in boolean it will be false. So I am checking 0 equals to 0. So if both of them are 0, it will return true. So if it is the same string, so it is a palindrome, it will give the value. So now we are printing the reversed. So let me change this value. So like this. So if the string is palindrome, so that time print palindrome, or else print not a palindrome. Now let us check. So it is being reversed. After it is reversed, it is palindrome. So now let us give some space here and check it. So it is not a palindrome because after reversing it, the space will have the second character as there, because space is also a character. So as you can see here, we have written a program for reversing a string and a palindrome. So within this palindrome, I am calling the reversing method that I have created here, and after reversing it, I am using string comparison, and if both of them are equals, it will return the value of 0. So but if you return the zeros here, the palindrome will be false. So I am checking if it is same, it will return 0. So 0 equals 0 will return true, that is 1. So it return 1 will be come here, that is true. So after that it will print palindrome. So we have seen 3 operations, that is finding length and reversing a string, after that palindrome. So now let us see some more values of functions. So let us write a program to find the power function. So as you can know that the power function is nothing but the 2 power 3 like that, those value we have to find it. So for that we will write the code for that. So let us remove this code and this functions. So we have the main function. So the power can be in double value. So I am using double means nothing but the point values can be stored within the double data type. So I am using double. So after that I will name it as power. So in this there are 2 cases. So the power value of any number can be expressed as like this, 2 power 3 like this. So the first value is called as base and the second value is called as exponent. So we will get 2 values, int. So after that, so we will get double here because we are also returning double. So double base. So after that, the power has to be in integer. So for that, int exponent. So this is what we are using for using iterating. So that's why it has to be in integer, not in normal values, that is point values. As we know that any value, that means even if I give 1000 here and I give the power of 0, this value is 1. So anything power 0 is 1. So I'll give the base case. If my exponent value is 0, I'll return the value of 1.0. So if it is in negative, for example, if my exponent value is less than 0, so that means the negative value, I want to return 1 and divided by the power of base value will be minus exponent. If a value is in the negative value, we have to calculate the power by this method. We have to divide 1 with the power of, that means the 2 power the same value. 1 divided by power of the same value with the negative exponent value. For example, if I get any value, for example, the normal value of 2 and the power in the minus 2 power minus 10. So it is equals to value of 1 divided by 2 power 10. So this is the formula for the negative exponent values. So for that values, see here we are giving one more minus here. That is because it is already negative. So if you give another minus, it will become positive. So that's why we are given negative here to change the value. So after that, we just need to calculate the normal value. So the result will be we are going to multiply it. So I am initialize it with 1. So after that, for my I value is 1 and I less than or equals to the exponent value and I plus plus. So now we have to multiply the result value with the base value. So after that we have to return the result. So this is the function for finding the power of a number. So let us check here. Before that, I want to include one more file, that is as include math.h, because within this math header file there is a function that is also used for finding the power. So printf, I don't want to print hello world here, the value of it is double. So after that, double power the exponent value, that is percentage d. So I will remove this percentage d is, we are going to return the double value again, percentage. So after that we want to get 3 values. So first one is double base and it is integer for exponent. So after getting 2 values, we'll print it. So get scanf. After that, base and the exponent. After that, the function power of base and exponent. In power method. After that, next line. So let us call the built-in function that is being given here. So printf the value of double power percentage d is a long value, there is float value in POW method that is inbuilt. So after this next line, I'll give base and exponent and POW. See here, this is this method inbuilt function, the power of base and exponent. So they are asking for both as double values. So then let us give the value in double. So let us type convert it. So double of exponent. So we are type converting it to double because they are asking for both as double values, but we are doing with double and integer value. So now let us check. So let me give the value. So the base value is 2 and I'll give the value of -4. So the both of them are giving the same value. So I just give the value of here 0.2 LF and 0.2 LF. I just want two dots after that. So I am using 0.2 here. So let us give the value 2 power minus 5. So it is 0.03. So we can give 5 digits here. So let us check for normal numbers. 2 power 3, it should 8. So 8.5 digits of 0. So we are using these two, we are created our own power function instead of using the inbuilt function. This is how we are checking. So for the negative values, we have to use 1 divided by the current value. For this minus is nothing but changing the minus value to positive value. So this is the power function. So let us see one more pattern to print the pyramid. So we know patterns, star patterns. Within the star patterns, we are going to print a pyramid. So a pyramid should look like this structure, that is so this is a pyramid structure. We are going to print this pyramid structure in this program using this function. So we are going to create a function to print that. I'll just remove this code and I don't want this header file. So now let us write the code for it. So we are going to use nested loops here. So for that, we don't want to return anything. We are just going to print it. Why? So print, I just name it as print. Within it, the n. How many rows we have to print? So after getting the n, we are going to print the pattern, that is star pattern there. So for that, for I will be starting from 1 here. So because I'll convention for the rows, number of rows, first row. So I'm using 1 here. So 1 and I less than or equals to n for n rows and I plus plus. So the first for loop is to print these rows. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So 5 for these 5 rows, we are using the outer loop. So after that, for int j value is 1, so starts from 1 and j less than or equals to I and j plus plus. Why? Because in the first row, I want 1 star. In the second row, 2 star. Third row, 3 star. Fourth row, 4 star. Fifth row, 5 stars. So for the number of I want those many times this star have to be printed. So after that, we just need to print the star with some space. After every for loop, it has to go to the next line. So next line. So if I run it, so we have to call the function here. So we will give print 10. So as you can see, we are getting the right angle triangle, but we didn't have this pyramid structure. So if you want pyramid structure, we have to print some spaces here. See here, 1 space, 2 space, 3 space and 4 space. So in the first row we got 4 space. So that time first we have to print space, after that the star. So for that, for int another j will starts from 1 and j less than or equals to n minus I, because here in the first row the n is 5 and there are 4 spaces. So it is first row and 3 spaces. So minus 2, 5 minus 2 is 3 and 5 minus 3 is 2, 5 minus 4 is 1, 5 minus 5 is 0. So there is no space in the fifth line. So I am giving n minus I here. So after that j plus plus. So we have to print space here. So we are printing a space. So I just give 5 here because it goes out of the compiler's look. So see here, we have printed the pyramid structure. The same structure we are printed. We have given 5 and 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 stars and 5 stars. So let us try to remove this space and check how it's looking if I didn't give any space. So that time it will look like a left angle triangle. So we'll give some space here. And if you want, you can give some more symbols as well. We can give at symbol or hash symbol. But most of the time we will be using star symbols only. So that will create the pattern and it will look cleaner to the structure how it's being worked. So this is for printing the number. This is one of the number patterns we'll be using. So there are, as we can know, we already seen about some sorting methods in the previous class. So we can also use that. We can also create a bubble sort method or function outside it function, and we can just call it. After that we can print it. It will be already sorted. So let us see that. So let me remove this code. I'll remove all of this code other than this. So after that, this one. So this one is the main function. So in this we are going to write a program for the bubble sorting. As we can know, we already seen about the bubble sort in the previous session. So how to sort? In the array section we have seen about sorting and searching. In searching we have seen binary search as well as the linear search. So we are going to solve some of the problems in it. So after that we will be seeing some more interview problems after this sorting. So first let us write the program for that. Here we just want to sort it. So we don't need any output there. So void. So for sorting I just give sort. We are going to use bubble sort. So for the every iteration the greatest element will go to the end of the program. So sort, within that we have to give the array. So this is the array and we have to give the size of. So this is the array and array size. So for I is 0. So I less than n minus 1 and I plus plus. Because we will check from current value with the next value. So that time when it reaches the last value, we don't need to sort for the last element. So that's why we are reducing the number of iterations by 1. So for after j is 0 and j less than n minus 1 minus I, because this is also for lifting over the last element, but this minus I is for every iteration it is being ended, the last element will be always greater. We don't need to check the element. So that's why every iteration we will reduce iteration by 1 by 1. So j plus plus after it. So after this, here array of j is, that means the current element is greater than the next element. Okay, my current element is greater than the next element. We have to move it to the right side so we can swap it. So for swapping, I want to write one more function. So void swap. For that we have to give 2 pointer values. So within that temporary variable, I will store it in a temporary variable and change a to b and b to temporary variable. Okay, I am giving 2 values and temporary is pointing to the a value. So now a value will become b and b value will become the a that is stored in the temporary variable. We are using a swapping method here. So I will call this swap. So within it, I want to swap these 2 values. So this is nothing but this address. So we are using pointers here. So we have to swap using this address value. So that time it will become it will swap the value of it using the pointers. So we are sorted this. So now let us create one array and try it is sorted or not. So integer array int array. So in this array, I'll give some numbers. Within it, I'll give 64, 25 and 12, 22 and 11. So after that, the size, that is n, the size of array divided by the size of array of the first element. So this will return the bits. So that's why we are dividing it by the current bit of a first element. That time we will get the overall size of this array. So after that, I want to print this after sorting. So for printing the array, I will create one more function. So void, I'll just name it as print. Within it, I want to give the array. So I want to print the array from it. So for printing the array, that also we need the size. So int n. So we'll iterate through the first element to last element and print the element from first to last element. So before that, we can give one more thing, that is we can print the array in an array manner structure. For that, before for loop, we can print a square bracket of the left one. After that, the elements. So after each element, we can check one thing. If my current element is not equals to the last element, if my I is not equals to the last element, that is n minus 1, if not element, I will print one more thing, that is comma within the next element. Because after last, if I didn't give this condition, after printing the last element in the array, it also print one more comma there. So I am giving if condition here. So first let us give without if condition, and after let's see what is happening. Outside the for loop, I will print the array ending line. So after that, let us check it and see what it's running. So this is how it's going to print. First print up before sorting. So after that, I will print the array. After that, I will sort the array. After sorting, I want to print the array. So I am printing the array. So I am printing before sorting and print the array elements and sort, and after sorting and printing. So if I run this, see here there is extra comma there. So I don't want there comma and some more spaces also there. So I don't want spaces as well. So for that, in the printing statement, I will remove the spaces. So I will give the condition for the last element. I don't want comma there. So if my I is not equals to n minus 1, so that time I don't want this comma there, or else I want to print the comma there itself. So I am removing the space as well. So now let us sort it. See here, I have created two functions, one for sorting, another for printing. So now my array looks like array based structure. So I have created my own printing function there for printing an array. After that, I am created a sorter function to sort this. So before sorting, it was like 64, 25, 12, 22 and 11. After sorting, it became like this structure. So what we are doing, we have created one more function to print and sort the array. So let us move on to some more problems. So for the next problem, we are going to solve a scenario based problem, that is student grade calculator. So let us see that. So for that, we have to get requirements first. We have to calculate average. After that, we have to get the value of it, for example the grade. After that, the highest value and the lowest value. After that, the report card. So let us check it. So let us remove this code. So we got the main function. So now we can get the marks of the students from the array. So after that, we can print the report of them array. So now first we have to calculate the average mark of them, because there may be few subjects there. So it will be in a float value. The average value will be in the point value, that is float. So I am naming it as calculate average. So the scores may be in some array. So I am getting the scores in the array of float data type. So float scores. After that, the len, that is the count of the subjects. So I will initialize the total value, that is float. So average is 0. I starting initialize with the 0. So after that, I will iterate through the loop with the size of it, that is I equals 0, I less than count, and I plus plus. So average will be added with this scores. After adding, we have to return the average value with the total value divided by the size of it, that is count. So return average divided by the count. So now it will return the value, or else we can do one more thing, that is average equals to average divided by count, and will return the average. So we are calculating the average of the score. We are adding and dividing with the number of count with it. So we will get the average then. So we have to give him a grade. So A, B like that. So the grade should be in character like A, B or F. So character. So I am naming it as get grade of him using the average value. So float average. So now if average is greater than or equals to 90, that time we can return grade A. If his average is greater than or equals to 80, I can say his grade is B. If it is greater than 70, it is C, and it is greater than 60, it is D. So I'll name it as else if my average is greater than or equals 60, I will return C. So after that, else is failed. So F. So this is the grading system, and this is calculating the average. After that, I want to find his highest marks and find his lowest mark to give him in the report card. So for that, I am giving two things, that is find min and find max. So first I want to find the highest value, so find highest score in the array with the size. So we have to return it in the integer. So find highest score. First I will make it as the first element. So I'll name it as maximum element is scores of 0. So I initialize with the first value and I will check with every value, and if any value is greater than the current maximum value, I will make it as the maximum value. So I'll iterate through this loop using the array. Using the for loop, I iterate through this array. So after that, here score is, my current score is greater than the maximum value. My maximum value is current score. After finding this for loop, I'll return the maximum value, that is stored. So we have find the highest score in this array, that means the scores, and we are created one for finding average, after that the grade, after that the lowest score. So integer find lowest score in this course. So the minimum is, I am initialized with the first score again. So I iterate through the for loop from I equals 1, I less than the count, and I plus plus. Okay, first it is initialized with the first element, and I am using a for loop, starts from 1 and less than count, that means the length of this array which holds the value of the scores. After that, if my current score is, that is scores of I is less than the minimum value, so it is the minimum value. So minimum value is scores of I. So after this for loop, I will return the minimum value. So we got calculated the average, adding all the elements in the array and divided by the length of it, we will get the average. After that, the grade, if it is greater than 90 and it is A, so, and we can give one more thing, that is less than or equals, and averages. So no need for that because we are using average. So anyway, it will give the score, it will be less than that. So we will give 90 as well. So 90% means A, 80% means B, 70 is C, and 60 for D. So after that, I will get the highest score he scored and the lowest score he scored. So now we'll create the students. So for the students, so I'll give float array. So I'll give as a name of the student. For example, Alice. So after that, his scores. So 92. So 88, 95, and 79, and 84. These are his scores. So after Alice, I want to create one more student. For example, Bob there. So I'll give different values. For example, 65, 72, and 58, 80. After that, I'll give some more value like 70. So these are the scores of Bob and Alice. So I will create one more function to print the report card for the student. So for that, we just going to print. So there is no need for any returning values. So void. So I'll name it as print because there is no printing statements we declared here. So I'll just print or else name it as report. So in this, I want to give the value, that is first his name, so first his name, after that his scores, float, his name, after that his marks, after that the size of this array, that is in count. These are the things we want. After that, we have to find the average. So float averages, we are calling the function with the count. Calculate the average and we are giving the array and the count. We have find the average of it. After that, I will print it. Print. Let's give some space here. Before that, I'll give next line. So now grade report. So after that, I'll give some space and his name. So for that, percentage yes. So percentage yes for his name. The string variable that will store his name as the value. So after that, after printing his name, sum equals, then the name of the student that is given to us, that is name. Okay, we are printing grade report of the student with the name. So I'll give some space here. So after that, we have to go to the next line. We'll give it in the next line here. So after printing the grade report, we have to print the scores. So printer scores. After that, we have to print the scores of the student. So for that, use a for loop. Within this for loop, I'll iterate through it and print the value of it. So I less than count and I plus plus. After iterating through this array, we have to print it. So printf, I just want one digit after percentage. So percentage 0.1f. So 1.1f means it will only return the size of decimal value after the one digit. So then we have printed the scores. After printing every scores, I want to go to the next line. So after getting to the next line, we will print the average. So the average value. After printing the average value, I want to print the grade. So printf is grade. After printing is grade, his highest score and his lowest score. After printing highest score, lowest score, so that is the end of it. We just use end of the report. So I am using this report function to print the scores of him. So now we just need to call his name. So that is report. Within that we'll give Alice and the count is 5. After that report Bob with the size of 5. So see here there are two report cards that is generated. The scores are 92.0, 82.88.0, 95.0, 79.0, 84.0. The average is 87.6. His grade is B. Highest score is 95. Lowest score is 79. So after that, so we can change this to integer to float. We have given integer here, float and float. So run it. So we are printing percentage D. So it is percentage F. 0.1f. So now see here 95.0, 79.0. This is the grade report of Alice and grade report of Bob. So it is average score and the grade and the highest score and the lowest score. So this is starting of the report and ending of the report. So this is how we will be creating a grade report using multiple functions. So as I said before, the 4 uses, the last one, that is modularity. We are separating module by module of functions and we are calling it whenever we want. If I want to calculate for 100 students, I just need to give this 100 students data. I don't need to rewrite this code of this every time. So the reusability, and if I see any bug, I see here, I have frequently found that when I only get 95, I got integer, and after I run it, it gets 0. So for it is easy to get debugging. So I found that the error is because I have the percentage D here and this is float. So float and integer means it will only give the value as 0. So that's why I change this value to the float access modifiers to find a value. So these are the basic problems that can be useful to find through these functions. So in these functions we have seen about this prototypes and the valid input. So and make sure that every function must have 20 to 30 lines. More than that will be some of the may lead to some errors. So split it into some of smaller functions and add it like this, calculating average and grade, instead of getting in a single function, separate into multiple functions and call it and use it. And after that, the name of it must be meaningful. For example, I am giving find the highest score and get grade and after that calculate the average and find the lowest score and report. So these all are meaningful regarding to the what purpose that the code had been given. So on most thing within we are using this, most time use local variables instead of global variables, and for the complex logic add some lines of comments. For example, here if I want to understand this code will return the lowest score. For a complex code, just write multiple lines of comments to get know why this code is used for like that. So that's why you will not get any errors there. So let us move on to some important interview questions to solve it. So first, I'll remove all of this code. So after that, I'll include the header file. Standard input output .h. As include after the header file, main function, and return 0. So this is the basic structure of C. Now we will see some problems. So first, we know that we can reverse an array using the another array. But now we are going to code with reverse array in place. That means that we are going to change the elements within the same array. Instead of creating new array, we are going to change the array elements in place. So for that, let us see the structure. So let me take this as an example. So in this, we'll create one array and we'll iterate through the backward and store it in the first index, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Instead of creating new array, we are going to reverse array in that place only. For that, first we'll swap this first item with the second last element in the array, that is 5 and 1, and we will swap these two elements, that is 4 and 2. Now this array is being reversed. If it is an odd index, we don't need to reverse the middle index. So if it in even, that time we will reverse all of them and it will be reversed. For example, if I take 6 here, so that time 1 will be swapped with 6 and 2 will be swapped with 5 and 3 will be swapped with 4. So that time it is being reversed. So for that, let us write the program. So for that, I'll create one function for printing array. So void print array. So array and the size. So in this, first I want to print this one. After that, within the for loop, I will print the elements. After printing elements, I want to print comma there. So if my size is less than a size minus 1, I will print comma. If not, I will not print it. So after that, we have to print the closing bracket and the open bracket. So here I will create one function for printing the array. So now let us create first in array some values. So after that I will print the array. So now we have to reverse the array. First just print this array and set. After that we will reverse. So it is 1 to 5. So now let us reverse it in place. So for that we are going to use 2 pointers reversal. So it is one of the algorithm that we are going to use. So here one pointer, swap, and we'll move the pointer here and swap, and here one pointer and swap. So we are going to swap from using 2 pointers. So for that, before that, we'll print one statement that printf original array after printing it. We'll move on to the next thing, that is we are going to reverse it. So for reversing we don't need anything to return, so reverse array. Make sure to name the functions that is meaningful regarding to what purpose it is being returned. So after that integer array and the size, so int n. So now we have a function that we have to reverse it. So we are going to use 2 pointers. See here, one pointer for the left side, one pointer for the right side. So left pointer starts from the 0th index, and it is the right pointer is from the n-1, the last index. So int right pointer is n-1. So left pointer is 0, right pointer is n-1, first index and the last index. So now I'll use one condition while this is going to this and this loop is going to here. That means when it reaches the middle, all of the elements will be swapped. So that time left will be here, right will be here. Left is less than right, I can move, or else I will stop there. So while left less than right, I will use a temporary variable to store one of the elements. Let me take left. If I store this left, I have to change the value of left. So array of left is the unchanged value, that is array of right. Now I have stored the array of right. So I can store this array of left which is stored in the temporary variable. So array of right is temporary. So after swapping the first 2 elements, we have to move left by 1 and right by 1. So we are increasing the 0 to 1 and reducing n-1 to n-2. So left plus plus, right minus minus. So left plus plus and right minus minus. So we are increasing by 1 and decreasing by 1. So after reversing, so we will just reverse the array. After that print, reverse the array and print the array. We have write a function and we are called it and printing it. See here, this is the original array and it is being printed, and the reversed array it is being printed. So now as you can see, we didn't use any extra array to store these values and we are returning it. So we will see one more problem that is asked by most of the companies, that is to sum. So for example, let me give an array. For example, I'll give the array of elements with 12 or 3, 4, 8, 13, 7, 4, 2 and 11. So here if I add any two elements in this array, I will get the target value. For example, if I give my target is 9, so if I add these two elements, so I'll remove these two elements. I don't want so many elements. So if I add these two elements, I'll get the target value. So that time I'll return the index of this value and this value. Okay, if it is found, I'll return these two values, 7 and 2 index values. So this is the problem. So for that we are going to use one for loop. For there is a brute force method. In this brute force method we are going to use double for loop. First we'll check 3 with add all of the elements and add it. After that 13 with all of the elements, 7 with all of the elements and 4 with all of the elements. Like that we are going to add and we will return the value. So I'll give the values. I'll copy it and paste there. So after that I'll give the target. It is the target. So in this we'll create one array, one method to find the two sum of the array. So it is going to return one array. Okay, it is going to return an array. After that void. So it is returning an array. So we don't need any values. We just get into the normal method. We will not create any functions here. So here there will be two index. So I want to check if it is being founded or not. So I'm using one flag value to found. So initialize with 0, so it means false. So I'll use double for loop. So for I is 0 and I less than 5 and I plus plus. So after that another for loop for int. I will start from the second value. So int j value is I plus 1. So j less than 5 and j plus plus. So after that if I add this element with this element, that time, so here I will give 5 minus 1 because when it reaches here, that time we will add this element, that is j value is I plus 1, it will go here. So after that I plus 1 and after that when it reaches here, it should stop somewhere right. So that is I plus 1. After that it should stop when this loop is there. So when it becomes here, this value will become there and the size will be here. So we don't need to change this value. So if my array of I plus array of j. So if I add these two elements and I get the target value, so that time found equals 1. So if it is found, I have to store the value. So for that I'll create two variables, int x and y. So after that, after founding, x value is I and y value is j. I am storing it in two variables. After storing it, there is no need to check anymore. I will break it. So if found, so there is no need for this. If found, I'll print the sum of percentage D and percentage D index values MNCs equals to the target. So after that, the values that are X and Y, so within X and Y I am storing the two index values and I am printing it. If not, printf not found the sum of two elements. So now run it. So then sum of 2 and 4 index values found in equals to the target. So 0, 1, 2 is 7 and 3, 4 is 4. So these two indexes values, when you add these two index values, that time you will get the target value 9. So let me change the value of this to 14, or let us check 5 and run it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 and 4. So it's written 0 and 4, the index value that is equals to the target value. So let us give some value, random value. So 555. So not found the sum of the two elements. So let me try to give I less than 5. So let us check. So it's okay. So there is no need. It maybe have some garbage value there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is the size. So now we found that in this array we are having these elements and we are checking through it, and once we found the target we are storing two index values and return it. So this is one of the interview questions that being asked. After that we'll checking valid parenthesis method. So a valid parenthesis is nothing but a problem. In it will have full of parenthesis strings will be there. So in this strings they will have, for example, an open and close bracket. After that, so this will be one string. So after that they may give some more strings like that. For example, this value and this value and this value and this value. As you can see, there will give some array with some strings of this parenthesis. When you see, if open and close, I will remove this, and open and close I will remove this, and open and close I will remove this. So this is a valid parenthesis. But here this opening and closing are different values. So if a string which have the same opening and close like this, so as you can see it is opened and closed within it and open and closed within it. So this is how we are going to check. So for example, there may be like this. So there is only opening parenthesis, there is no closing parenthesis. So it is not a balanced parenthesis. So it is unbalanced. There is only opening, not closing. But as you can see here, it is different and it is different. So it is not a valid parenthesis. But here it is valid parenthesis because it is enclosed with the same parenthesis out of it. So for here we are going to use one of the data structure that being used, that is called as stack. So in this stack memory, what we are going to use is we are put this stack. For example, let me take this parenthesis, this as the valid or not. So in this, as you can see here, this both are same, that is these characters open and close. So I will remove this like that. So first, if it is a opening bracket, so that time I will put this into the stack. So if any of this open parenthesis or open curly braces or the square bracket, if any of them comes, I will push into the stack. So stack will be like a structure of last in first out. That means I'll draw the structure here. So after here, so this will be the structure. So in this structure, if I put this open parenthesis, it will store in here. So after this storing, this parenthesis will store in here. After that, this will be stored here. If any opening braces will come, I'll store it in here. After, if any of them is closing, so that time I'll check with the opening tag, that is stored in this tag. If any of them opening is coming, I'll check with this opening bracket. If it is this bracket, I'll check with this closing bracket, opening bracket. So if both of them are equal, if this is this bracket, I'll check if my top bracket is this opening bracket or not. If it is not, it is not a valid parenthesis, that itself I'll close. If both of them are same, that time I will remove this, and after that these two will be erased, and now this closing bracket will come and check for the opening bracket. So both of them are same, it will be removed. So after that this closing parenthesis will come. So now it will check with the stored stack, that is storing here. So that time both of them are equal, it will be removed. So that time it will become a empty stack. So if stack is empty and there is no string left, I can say it is a valid parenthesis. So this is we are going to do. So initially the stack value will be in -1 because no value is there. After that, if any value I am giving, I am adding by 1, so that time it will become 0. So I can use array as the stack. So for that, I will remove this code. So hash include standard input output dot h. So after that, main function and return 0. So here I'll give some array, for example test cases. So character, within that I'll give the strings. So in this string array, we are going to give some values. So for that, first I'll give this string. This is one valid string. After that, we will give some invalid strings here. So after that, a open bracket there. So first, using this, we have to import strings as include string.h. After this, I have created one string here. So next one, I'll give, so first let me take one string with the string of open close parenthesis. After that, this one and this one. So this is a test case, we are going to check it. So after this, first I'll get the length of it. So int, my length value is string length. So after getting the string length, we'll create a stack implementation. So for stack, so I'll create char stack. So I'll give the size as 100 right now. So within the stack, there is no value there. So I'll give the size initialize with -1. After giving the size, I'll check is it valid or not. So initially I'll put it as valid using this flag. After that, I'll go through the for loop for every characters and in, so I value is 0, I less than the length and I plus plus. So after iterating through this loop, I'll check from each characters. So this character of I am storing it in the variable C. After storing it, I'll check if it is open or not, that open curly braces parenthesis like that. So if my current character is open parenthesis or my current character is curly braces or my current character is open square brackets. If any of them is there, I want to push it to the stack. So for that, I'll first increment the size by 1 and initialize the value as, then if I initialize, the stack value will become 0. So in the stack 0, I'll put the value as C. So after putting it, if not, it is open. So it must be the closing parenthesis like that. So here, first I'll check that if my stack is empty. So if my top will become -1, the stack is empty there. So first I am checking that if it is empty or not. So if it is empty, so that time I change valid will be 0. So that time I am making it as valid is false and I don't want to check anymore. I'll break it. If it is not empty, so that time I'll create character. So it is a top character, that is we are going to get out of it. So I'll take the character. After getting the character out, I want to decrement the size by 1. So that time if I push out the character, I will have to remove the size by 1. So I am, after getting it, I am reducing the size. So after that, here my current character that is given here, that is close bracket. First I'll check if my current bracket is any of this close bracket, I have to check. So for that, first if it is closed parenthesis and my pushed character outside of the stack is open parenthesis, so that time my valid will become 0. So my valid will become 1 because it is same. So if it is not equals to this parenthesis, so if it is both are different, so that time I can say valid, it is not valid. So after that, I will check for here my curly braces is this and it is top is not this character, so I can say it is not valid. Same for the third parenthesis. If it is closing square bracket and it is in the top character is not the opening square bracket, my valid character is 0. So now after this much in this for loop, I'll get out of this for loop and check that here first we have to check the top is not equal to -1. So that time the stack will still have some values. If stack is empty and it is still valid, then only it is a valid parenthesis. So if it is not empty, it is not valid. So after checking it, first we'll check string length. So there are few things first check. If string length of the current is 0, we'll print empty, or else we'll print valid there. So for that, I'm using one printing statement. So in this printing statement, first I want to use some space there. So for that percentage, after that I want to give some left space there. So I'll give 12 left spaces. After that, some star symbol, after that percentages. So after the next line, so in this I want to print, first I'll check one more thing, that is if my string length of test is that we already have. So my string length of test is 0, that means it is a empty string. So that time I'll print empty. So if it is not empty, it will have test. If it is valid, so that time I'll print valid, or else it is not valid. So let's check. So it is a valid string. So if I give a single open parenthesis or close parenthesis inside it, it is a invalid string. So let us give some open and close here. So it is valid, and let us check with another string. For example, like this, only one open brace. So it is invalid. As you can see here, we are using stack structure. Like this stack structure, we'll put the opening of every brackets within it and check with the closing of the current character. If any one is mismatching, that time we can return 0. If all of them are same, after that then the stack is still empty, that time we can say it is a valid parenthesis, or else it is not a valid parenthesis. So that's all for today's live. So thank you for watching here. So now the questions will be given in the comment section in a few hours. So make sure to study through all of the problems and make sure to follow recursion and functions. Thank you.